Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include Firaxis losing 2 key people after Midnight Suns fails to meet sales expectations. The new Diablo 2 season kicking off with an insane meta-breaking build. The surprise in Diablo 3 Season 28's final patch notes, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below, but right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. But before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor, Keeps, which is all about keeping your hair. About 2 or 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they reach 35. Some men lean into the shaved head look, but some enjoy having and styling hair and want to know if they have any options. There's no magic cure for baldness, but there are preventative steps to stop it from progressing and keep the hair you have. Keeps is a subscription service that focuses on making it easier and more affordable for men to treat their male pattern baldness, all from the comfort of their home, using clinically proven, research-backed treatments at about half the cost of a traditional pharmacy. Medical providers at Keeps will help pick the right treatment plan for you, and every treatment comes with a full year of unlimited messaging. And then it's as simple as subscribing and having everything you need delivered right to your door, with refill reminders sent to ensure you don't run out of what you need. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/Rhykker or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/RHYKKER. Diving into the news, this week we got the launch trailer for Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign, which is the culmination of the entire Total War Warhammer series. It combines the campaign maps, races, and factions from all 3 games into a single sandbox campaign. And you only need to own Total War Warhammer 3 to access the campaign. You don't need the first 2 games. But you do need those games and their DLCs to unlock their respective lords to use on the battlefield. Basically, you can pick and choose which lords you want to buy, meaning you can buy a DLC pack for Total War Warhammer 2 without having to buy Total War Warhammer 2 in order to be able to use that content in the Immortal Empires campaign. In another story, Multiversus player numbers have dropped dramatically since launch. Okay, sure, that's pretty normal for a lot of games. Game is new, there's tons of hype, people flock to it. 6 months later, a lot of people are gone. But in this case, 99% of the player base is gone. Yikes. Especially for a free-to-play game that relies on MTX to sustain it. That is spelling doom. On Steam, the platform fighting game had reached a concurrent player peak of over 150,000. Very respectable. And that's just on Steam, it's a multi-platform game. 2 months after the game launched last summer, Warner Bros. Reported that over 20 million people had downloaded the free-to-play game. But since then, concurrent player numbers have been dropping dramatically. And this last week, they hit a new low. Fewer than 1,000 players on Steam online at a time. Now again, these are just the Steam numbers. Multiversus is also on PlayStation and Xbox, but I'm hearing similar reports, maybe not as catastrophic, but similar, of cratering player counts. The game had a ton of momentum when it launched, but it seems it wasn't able to capitalize on that momentum by keeping up with content releases. I'm seeing a lot of criticism about the game's Season 2 offerings, and now it's even delayed its 3rd season. Now, if you've played Multiversus, what are your thoughts? Why do you feel the game is failing? Sound off in the comments. In other news, Marvel's Midnight Suns has a free weekend ongoing on Steam, though it's going to end tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so you basically just have today to try it out. If you're on the fence about this one because of how the card system makes it different from a typical Firaxis XCOM game, now's a good time to see if you like the changes. In a recent video, we spoke about how the game was seen as a critical success, but a commercial flop. And now, in what I could only assume is somehow related to this, 2 important figures are leaving the company. Steve Martin, not the comedian, but the studio head of Firaxis, who had been with the company for 27 years, and Jake Solomon, the creative director of Midnight Suns and XCOM, who was with the company for 23 years. I really enjoyed the XCOM games that were released under Solomon. I hope these 2 are heading somewhere where they can put their skills to good use. And in some related news, we got official confirmation of the next Civilization game being in development. Not a huge surprise, but it's undoubtedly being worked on by Firaxis and has been in production for a while now. And the lead of Civilization 6 is rumored to be heading up this next title. In other news, Hogwarts Legacy is doing incredibly well. Not only is it the biggest Harry Potter game launch of all time, but its first week sales in the UK were up 80% over Elden Ring's first week sales. That was for physical sales. Once the digital sales figures came in, GamesIndustry.biz confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy's opening week was 56% bigger across all of Europe than Elden Ring, making it the biggest game launch outside of FIFA and Call of Duty since Red Dead Redemption 2. On Steam during its release week, Hogwarts occupied the top 4 spots of the top sellers list, including pre-order and non-pre-order versions of the base game and the deluxe edition. On Steam, the game hit a concurrent player peak of almost 900,000. And I'm hearing that the game can be appreciated by both Harry Potter and non-Harry Potter fans. But if you folks have played it, sound off with your reviews in the comments. In some quick last Epoch news, the devs are celebrating 500,000 copies sold, and that's before the game is even released. Last Epoch has been in early access for a few years, and it's nearing release, I'm expecting this year. In 3 weeks, March 9th, we're getting the release of the multiplayer beta, and as a thank you to everyone who has been along for the ride, the devs are giving a special backpack cosmetic to everyone who owns Last Epoch before the multiplayer beta begins, and it's just chock full of references to the game's development and its community. Then in Diablo 2 news, Season 3 began this week, along with the launch of patch 2.6. And preliminary reports are that martial arts assassins are incredibly powerful. Stand aside Hammerdin, Javazon, and Cold Sorceress. It's time for the dual claw martial arts assassin to shine, thanks to the new Mosaic rune word that we spoke about in last week's video. And honestly, it's just great to see the meta shaken up. Hopefully just temporarily. By next season, this should probably be nerfed, because it seems to be overperforming right now. But if it could be brought in line a bit to be competitive with Hammerdins without obsoleting Hammerdins, which some argue it's doing right now, then I think that would be a great place for this build to end up in. But hey, for now, let assassin players enjoy their time in the sun. I haven't had a chance to play the new season yet, but I turn the question to those of you who are playing. What are your thoughts? Is this too insanely powerful? Are you happy or unhappy to see the meta shaken up? Sound off in the comments. Then in some quick Diablo 4 news, later today, as in 1 p.m. Eastern, 3 hours after this video goes live, Diablo 4 will be showcased on day 2 of IGN FanFest. IGN will be sitting down with D4 game director Joe Shelley to talk about the game, answer some questions, and all hints have pointed to us getting a beta release date reveal during this panel. I'll try to get a quick update up with any news when this happens. I may release it as a YouTube short, so do check back soon. And in kind of related news, Blizzard has announced a Diablo cookbook. Yep, you heard me. Publisher Insight Editors previously released similar cookbooks for God of War, World of Warcraft, and other games, and this Diablo one will include 60 food and drink recipes in a 129-page book, and it's going to be based on the different cuisines imagined from places around the world of Sanctuary. I wonder how many of these recipes will call for fresh meat. The cookbook releases on October 24th. I'm low-key interested in just checking it out to see what are the recipes in there. Do I want to cook any of them? Is it going to be just real-world recipes that are good, or is there going to be some kind of distinctive Diablo spin on it that's going to make it more adventurous to try? I have no idea what to expect. Then, in some Diablo 3 news, Season 28 begins next Friday, February 24th. And it is the biggest season of Diablo 3 in possibly ever. Not only are we getting some new and reworked builds, but the Season 28 theme is the Altar of Rights, a new skill tree system that we can level up throughout the season via objectives that we need to farm for. It's really cool. If you're not up to date on all the details, then you can check out this video over here. I've been releasing some updated build guide videos to help people get back into the swing of things. I know a lot of you have taken a break from D3, but a lot of you are coming back for this going away party before Diablo 4. I'll have more videos coming along the way. One thing I need to clarify here, some people are misunderstanding and thinking that this is the last season of Diablo 3. It's not. It's the last season of D3 before D4 releases. There will continue to be seasons in Diablo 3. I don't expect them to have the same scale or scope as these seasons, but they'll keep resetting seasons. Diablo 2 kept having ladder resets for years, despite it not really being maintained in any real way, so there will continue to be D3 seasons, just I wouldn't hope for anything like an Altar of Rites. They'll probably cycle past season themes back in. And on the topic of my video guides, I'm not planning to release a video for every single build that you may want to play, but a lot of these builds haven't changed in months and years. So I encourage you to go to Rhykker.com where I list my build videos. I got it sorted by class, so you can check and see, oh, does Rhykker have a Mundanugu Witch Doctor build? Just because I didn't release an updated guide for Season 28 doesn't mean that you can't just go look at the one from 2 seasons ago. The build hasn't changed. It's like that with most of the builds. I try to prioritize making videos around the builds that have changed the most or need the most updates. Like, oh, that video is like 4 years old, okay, that can use an update. But if the video is like from last year, the build's the same, I'm not going to make a new video for it. I'm really trying to set up Rhykker.com as a sort of legacy site where people a year, 2 years from now can go there and check out build guide videos that'll still be relevant to them. So videos that I'm still definitely planning to make: a Bone Spear Necro build video. That build just got buffed. I'm making an updated video about it. I'd like to make a video on the new Natalia build, but that has changed so dramatically now from the test server. We'll go over those details in a bit, so I'm not sure when that video will come out. It might be after season launches. I'll have a video on a breakdown of the Altar of Rites, tier list video with the best builds, more videos. Stay tuned for those next week, because now we got the final patch notes for Season 28, and we've gotten a few surprise changes since the PTR, the test server. First off, the Father Potion, the one that gave the insane pylon effects whenever you popped your potion. Yeah, big nerf there, as expected. Now when you pop the potion, you gain a random shrine effect or the dimensional power pylon, as opposed to a random shrine or pylon effect. So you can't just fish for conduit anymore, and the duration of the power pylon has been basically cut in half. So this means we're not going to be seeing 0 DPS builds completing GR150s in Season 28 without attacking anything, which is a good thing. I know some people are going to be bummed, they'll be like, oh, but I like ridiculous power. You like ridiculous power for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to move on to another game. It's what would happen in the day back when we would use cheat codes in video games. Oh, it's awesome to have God mode and infinite ammo and everything dies in one shot for about 5 minutes, and then it's like, okay, well, what's the point of the game anymore? With this change, the effect is still powerful, it's just not stupidly powerful where literally builds that deal no damage are destroying GR150. And also to compensate, because it's still a nerf, the devs are buffing 2 of the seals in the altar. The plus 10% damage seal is now a plus 20% damage seal, and the plus 15% damage seal is now a plus 30% damage seal. So this is significant. Just those 2 seals together now are giving you 50% more damage. The devs also made a change to one of the unlocks for the altar. Your 19th seal previously required you to find the never-ending questions drop within a set dungeon. Something that can take anywhere from 5 minutes to accomplish to 10 hours, depending on your luck. They're now changing this to needing to find 4 Tome of Set dungeon pages from your class. Now these are much easier and more deterministic to farm. You just have to find the Royal Quarters, a small side area in Leoric's Manor in Act 1. You just go to the stairway, head right. This is a great change. Additionally, the new Natalia Spike Trap build is being completely reworked. No longer is it just a better spin to win Demon Hunter. The 2-piece bonus has now been changed to Spike Trap deals 100% increased damage to enemies affected by caltrops. Spike Trap now instantly refreshes charges on use, no longer costs resources, and each detonation restores 2 discipline. The 4-piece Spike Trap explosions will blast affected enemies towards the nearest set of caltrops. Laying a Spike Trap grants 75% damage reduction. The duration of this bonus is always equal to the number of already laid traps in seconds. And the 6-piece Spike Trap deals 10,000% increased damage, and each consecutive explosion from the detonated chain reaction will deal 25% more damage than the previous blast. So on the test server, the Natalia build was just a spin to win strafe build that automatically shot out and detonated spike traps. It was strong, it was fun, but the fantasy really wasn't there. You didn't feel like you were a trap demon hunter. and it really just felt like a stronger Gears of the Dreadlands build. Now, it plays more methodically. It's more of a greater rift pushing build than a speed build. You need to manually lay down your traps. They're working caltrops into the build, which plays nicely with the fantasy. So you're tossing out caltrops, you're tossing out spike traps. And the mechanic of blasting enemies towards the caltrops, that's something new, inventive, original, cool. It lets you be strategic and mindful of positioning. I'm looking forward to trying this out. These sound like good changes. But for those lamenting the loss of the spin to win, the devs have another surprise for us. The Gears of the Dreadlands 6-piece damage bonus is just about doubling, from 15,000% increased damage to 27,500% increased damage. And as a reminder, when you double your damage, you can handle a greater rift level of about 5 higher than before with the same amount of ease. So if you were speed farming 90s, you can probably speed farm 95s now. If you were capping out at a 120, you can probably do a 125 now. As a rough rule, some builds just move faster than others. But the key concept here is that monster health doubles every 5 greater rifts. So if you double your damage, you're keeping up with the doubling of the monster health. Between the buffed Unhallowed Essence build, which one of my favorite builds in the game, got an updated build guide video to that over here. Between now the buff to Gears of the Dreadlands, my old video guide, still applicable there, and Gears of the Dreadlands being the starter set for this coming season, and the new cool sounding Natalia build, I am 99% sure I am going Demon Hunter this season. And then there was a final surprise in the patch notes, a nice buff for Witch Doctors. The Manitou rune on Spear Barrage now deals 14,000% damage, as opposed to just 6,000, so this should give Witch Doctors a competitive speed farming option. As a reminder, tier list video will go live next week, and I hesitate before asking this question because I know what some of you will answer. What class do you folks plan to run in Season 28, if you've made up your mind yet? Or are you waiting for the tier list video before making your final decision? Sound off in the comments, because that's going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video, in which we discussed Blizzard's recent revenue report. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon, and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.